Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where late night recording, I forgot to record an Animal Crossing episode, and it wasn't until a few moments ago where I was like, wait a minute, I didn't record an Animal Crossing episode today. I think I got kind of mixed up because we streamed today, and I streamed much later than usual because I was busy in the afternoon. But I wasn't busy in the evening, so I was actually thinking like, am I even going to stream today? And then I was like, no, why not? Let's do it. You know, have people come around, and because it's also a lot easier to do the thumbnail arts when you do it 4 times a week, when instead 4 times a month rather than only 3 times a month. But good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 11:50 p.m. on Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. I will say though, I actually quite like this thumbnail art. Like, I'm not sure if it's the best so far, but its vibes are just like, great. If you haven't seen it, you can see the stream on Twitch. The VOD is up, should be up right now, or you can watch it on YouTube a week later. The VOD which came up today is the one from last week or 2 weeks ago. I honestly can't remember anymore how time is sort of messed up, sort of like in my head. But every time I make a new, I think it's a good sign that each time I make a new thumbnail art, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'm actually kind of jiving with this one. There's very few of them where I was just like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. But yeah, honestly, this one's like warm vibes. It's like, I feel like it's got warm vibes, but I didn't step on the toes of September's one. So yeah, what are we going to talk about today? Oh, I guess we'll talk about more Paris stuff. I have actually the album open. The next couple of things we did is we went to Chapelle Rowan. It's not called, it's called like Saint Chapelle, which is a chapel in Paris, which is actually pretty cool. I don't think it's enough to talk on, like, I'm not going to talk a whole episode about it, but it's basically a chapel, but the stained glass tells a story of, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. I feel like I should remember. Maybe it's like the Old Testament or something. But it tells a story as you go around each stained glass. I would say it's very much in a way that you have to kind of know what you're looking for to understand the story, because I was very much trying to sort of decipher it just by looking, and I was like, I don't get it. I have no clue what is going on. But that's neither here nor there. The more important thing is the fact that by it's like a very interesting way, in my opinion, of telling a story. Kind of like a comic, if anything, but like inscribed within stained glass. So it was pretty cool. There's not much else to say about it, really, because I can't remember a lot of the history behind it. It just looked pretty cool. Is it the coolest chapel I've ever seen? No. Still, Basilica or... oh my god. Basilica Familia? That just sounds wrong. Sagrada Familia, that's it. Basilica de la Sagrada Familia in Barcelona is still by far and away the coolest Christian religion building. Church is probably what you'd use that if you're trying to use human words, I've ever seen. I adored that one. It's like, it's so cool inside. It's basically a spectrum of rainbows inside because of like the way it's designed. It's got much more modern designs, but while I can appreciate older traditional designs, modern designs definitely appeal more to my, well, modern sensibilities. And that includes things like minimalism, which, yes, okay, I know not everyone likes minimalism because it feels very corporate and that sort of thing, but I kind of like minimalism a lot of the time. I'm not a maximalist person. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, Saint Chapelle, pretty cool. The coolest thing about it is that the gift shop had some really nice earrings in it, which I was like, ooh. It was like a collection which it did in collaboration with whatever, which was basically, it looked like these stained glass earrings. I'm also at the stage now where the earrings have been long enough that I can take them out and like put them back in completely fine, because they've healed over. They've like not scabbed, but like they've healed over, so now the hole is actually just like there and it's just skin in between, which is good because it means that I can now take them out and I can now put in different earrings. Thing is, I was meant to get and buy different earrings at some point, like a variety of different stud earrings rather than ones I've got in right now, because the ones I've got in right now are like placeholders, which annoyingly thread in through the back, which make them really awkward to actually put in your ear, and also aren't very cool. They're just like ball bearings almost. So I've been planning to go get some stud earrings, and I wanted to do it last week, but I was busy. Like both days which I had the opportunity to last week, so that didn't happen. Yeah, I forgot what else I was going to say about that. I mean, that was basically it, TBH. It's like those are the earrings are done. Saint Chapelle were really cool. Bought the earrings. I was considering buying a necklace, and I was like, no, I gotta get like a collection of earrings at some point. But I haven't got any stud earrings. I want stud earrings which I can just keep in casually. All the earrings I've otherwise bought are like hanging earrings, which are great, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to wear them all the time. I also got this very cute like rabbit necklace from a museum which I didn't go to, but I looked at it and I was like, that's cool as heck. I've got to get that. Like, it's something which I think is cool, and I don't have anything like currently. The other thing is we also went to Notre Dame, which is, if you don't know, it's a building which like burnt down. Not completely burnt down. It's more like the roof got burnt and I had to get like refurbished. Is that the word? Oh, how many years ago now? 4 years ago? Notre Dame fire. 5 years ago. 15th of April. So they've done like pretty good repairs. You still can't go inside, but you can take pictures in front, and we took some fun pictures. But this is the main thing which I was going to talk about today, because I think this is something which can, I'm not sure if it's going to take up the whole 20 minutes, but this mixed with the other things I think could take up 20 minutes. So, Saint Chapelle, cool earrings, Notre Dame. Of course, we couldn't go into Notre Dame, so there's not really much for me to say. It was just sort of like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. But the other thing we did afterwards is we made it a mission, I suppose, for ourselves. I say, no, I didn't mean to wave goodbye, I meant to sit down. Not so much for myself, because I've already done it, but we wanted to go to France and obviously eat some French food. And there's some French food, which is very, you might see where I'm going with this, rather niche, and you only really find in France, or too often. There's two things there, and that's escargot and frog's legs. There's a lot of other to-eat French things, but they're sort of things that, in my opinion, you can find much more ubiquitously in a lot of different places, rather than just in Paris. Like, I'm going to be honest, I don't really think I've seen snails in any other place except for Parisian or French-themed restaurants, I suppose, and even then, some French-themed restaurants. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to field snails as, like, a food item. Like, if you're in a country which doesn't regularly, well, not, I shouldn't regularly eat snails. It's not like Parisians are just, like, nomming on snails all the time. I'd imagine it's still a reasonably rare food, but like it is a food nonetheless. So at least my friends were also like, yeah, we want to eat snails as well, or at least, well, two of my friends want to try, but one of them would never probably do it. I'd be surprised. But it's also not the first time I've had snails. I've had snails before. I went on a trip to France / Belgium. It was basically like a World War, full stop, history trip, which I did for GCSE, I think, or maybe, no, I think it's pre-GCSE, actually, because I think most of my class was there. And we went there, we stayed there for a few days. I don't remember, a couple of days, maybe one night, I don't remember. And, no, it must have been a few days, right? Yeah, it must have been a few days. And we were like in year 8 or something, and we went to France and Belgium. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. I feel like it was also a very weird thing where it was like some of the forms or classes were like cut in half or something and paired. I don't remember. It was very strange. There was some sort of distribution going on. But anyway, the whole point of it is, at one point, because we're in France, one of the things that we did was like we had the opportunity to eat snails, and I, being me, was like, that's at the age where I was past being picky. Like, apparently I was somewhat picky as a child, but like I think by the time I got to the teenage years, I was like, I don't care anymore. I'll eat literally anything. And I was like, I've had, as long as my sort of like rule of thumb is, as long as it's edible and I'm not gonna be it's not gonna be unsafe for me to eat this, sure, I'll give it a shot. So at that time in this trip, I did eat snails. Not many snails, I think. I think we like each got given like the opportunity to eat one each, and I had one, and I was like, it tastes definitively fine. It tastes basically like a chewier, in my opinion, a chewier chicken. But the thing is, you basically can't taste any of the flavor of a snail. I don't know what a snail tastes like, because it's basically drenched in garlic butter, and I was like, the only thing I can taste is garlic butter. So honestly, it's not that bad if you, because garlic butter's pretty nice, all things considered. I don't think snail texture is that like appealing, in my opinion. So I'm not like, oh, if I'm not gonna have like snails as all the time or anything like that. But if you offered me a snail and I was like, yeah, sure, I don't really see an issue with it. But it's not something which I'm like, I would not put that up with. There were one of my favorite foods. But we went to this place in Paris called l'Escargot, which means snails in French. I think it was like it was actually like a chain restaurant, etc., which had a lot of these like definitive French dishes in, which we wanted to try. But obviously it was very escargot themed, so like all their cocktails were named after like snails or something. Like my friend had an escargot martini, I had a snail on the beach, because that is my sex on the beach is probably my favourite cocktail, to be honest. Which if you don't know what's in it, it's like vodka, peach schnapps, orange juice, and something else which I can't think of at the moment, but I don't know how to make it. I probably could learn how to make it. I should learn like how to make cocktails at some point, just kind of for fun. But yeah, and they also had so they had multiple French dishes which were on this like checklist of French dishes that we had to eat. Not had to eat, but wanted to eat. But there's one, oh my god, I can't remember them now. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so we had, for starters, what do we had? We had escargot, classic escargot, garlic butter. We had frog legs, or grenouille is frog, I don't remember what legs is. Jambes de grenouille, does that make sense? We had foie gras, and then we also had French onion soup. And those were starters, which are basically obviously 4 very sort of quintessentially French dishes. And then for the main meals, we each had some different things. I can't remember what everyone had. I think someone had a duck confit. I had a beef fillet which had like fried foie gras on top, and I can't remember what my other friends had. I don't know, but I think it was another, or we thought it was another French dish thing, but then I think afterwards we were like, maybe not. So we had a lot of quintessentially French things, and I mean, I can give you my review of them if you never plan to eat them yourself, or if you're curious about them. Escargot, what do they taste like? As I say before, a chewier meat which tastes basically only of garlic butter, but that's like the classic one. I'm sure you can get other types of escargot which don't have such a strong garlic butter taste, is my guess. Not that we had it. Foie gras, I actually quite like foie gras. Foie gras is basically just a load of fat, to be honest, which is why it tastes so good. I think it's duck liver. It's like a pate, but I think it's different from a pate. I don't know how it's different. Let's see. Foie gras versus pate. Pate is a broad term for various spread or mixtures. Foie gras is specifically the liver of ducks or geese that are fattened using the gavage method, force feeding, which I will say, is foie gras delicious enough for me to not feel bad about force feeding, to my opinion, be justified for force feeding? No. Feels kind of weird still. But nonetheless, still tried it. Out of more curiosity, if anything. Because I honestly quite like pate, to be honest. But it really is just like so sickeningly rich. It's the sort of thing where it's like, okay, I'm glad I tried it. I'm not really gonna like have it again all that much, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You might say I'm part of the problem, and you know that's fair enough, and I will take that. I'm not saying I'm going to be hypocritical here or anything and say that's not certainly tenuous. What's the word? Controversial for a good reason, I would say. But you know, I'm going to stand here with you know, I still wanted to try it at some point. Whether that makes me, well, I don't know if that should be enough of like a more reflection on myself, but nonetheless, foie gras, is it worth it? It's just basically like a load of fat. It's like the richest fat you've ever tasted. It's pretty good. It's like richer pate, I suppose. So if you like pate, I think you would probably like foie gras. Um, and I like pate, so I do like foie gras. Was it my favourite starter I ordered? Yeah, probably. Would I pay to have it again? I don't know. I think it's, genuinely, I think it's actually too much to eat. Like, I felt so bad after eating it, not only because how it's made, but because it, like, it's so heavy, you know? You ever had, like, an extremely rich, like, cake or something, where you're like, oh, this slice is so good, and then you get to the end, and you're like, I will die if I eat another slice. That's how it feels with foie gras. And when I had it on my main meal as well, or, like, a grilled version, I was like, this was a terrible idea. I tried a bit of my friend's French onion soup. Delicious. What can I say? It was actually probably the best one, IMO. And frog's legs. These frog's legs we had at this restaurant, I actually think were a bit I had them in Croatia before, which not known for its frog's legs, I would say, but it was actually pretty good in Croatia when I had it. So I was like, yeah, okay. It's like a softer chicken, I suppose, is when I had it. The thing is, there's not really much meat on the bone, so it's like one of those things where it's like it's not really worth it, I would say. Like I'm not sure. Like it's like a lot of foods are, I suppose, interesting. I suppose out of like curiosity's sake, but is that enough justification for it? No, probably not. It always got me curious about like the concept of like GM meat, like genetically modified, like lab grown meat or something, which I'm totally on board with, and that sort of thing. As soon as it becomes either cost efficient or not as cost ineffective to purchase compared to like some other meats, I'm all on board. But I wonder if people will start doing genetically like lab grown meat for the more unusual ones like snails and frog's eggs. I don't see like no reason not to, I suppose, but I just guess they're not in as high demand. Which I wonder if it like push them even further up, like a theoretical gourmet ladder. Anyway, not the point. The point is, those are the French things we had. And then I actually thought my beef steak thing was pretty good, to be honest. Just, again, I felt like I was dying, because I was just like, I must have had like 10 times my daily recommended amount of fat just in that one meal. It was insanely rich. As rich as, like, I don't know, sipping oil from a wine glass or something. So if I had to give a recommendation of anything, I think if I had to choose and eat only one of those things ever going forward, probably French onion soup. It's probably the least, like, I think nowadays I much more highly rate foods which I can more consistently eat. And there are a lot of foods I can quite consistently eat. But, like, even I have my limits, you know? Like, while I do have a palate for literally anything, I gotta think about the fact that I'm like, French onion soup is probably the healthiest. Well, even then, French onion soup probably has like a stick of butter in it, right? At least in this restaurant. But yeah, sorry, like this episode's probably going to be called Escargot or something. Is my guess. If you want to try it, go for it. Knock yourself out. And when you try it and it tastes completely like garlic butter, you'll be like, fair enough. My friend actually quite liked Escargot. I'm like sort of like nonplussed about it. Nonplussed in the sense that I'm very indifferent to it. I'm like, it's like, okay. And it's not like because I'm icked out by it or anything. Like, there's not a mental block here from snails. Or at least eating snails. It's just more like I don't see it as worth it. A lot of meats I'm like, eh. Well, that's not true. Chicken, yes. Sometimes beef, sometimes pork, but even then it's like, kind of depends more on how it is. Sorry, I apologize that I was just talking about meat this entire time, despite the fact I have very like weak opinions on meat in the first place. It makes no sense, and half the things I talk about. The long and short of it, there is escargot. There are other different like flavours of escargot you could have had. Am I curious in trying it? Yeah. Am I going to go out of my way to try it? Nah. Like, if I found myself in Paris again, I might, stop by like once to be like, alright, let's try these other different like escargots, or I'll try something different. But would I go there like all the time to try it, to make sure I like collect them all? Probably not. I don't know. I feel like I'm just surprisingly indifferent about what really should appeal to me, because escargot feels like a very novelty food, doesn't it? I don't know. I guess it's I'm not often someone who's like super overwhelmed or underwhelmed with flavour. It's probably just like super whelming. I guess escargot, so it's left no impact. Anyway, escargot, there you go. French food. I don't even know why necessarily. Well, is it only France who eats escargot? No, many places. Africa, Southeast Asia, Mediterranean, Europe. Okay, it's just got People just associate it with France or something. Edible land snails. It's known as escargot in England. Huh. I never really thought about that. I don't know, I never really thought about the fact that other places probably eat snails. One thing that also confuses me, I thought snails are like crazy hosts for parasites, right? So I'm surprised it's not like dangerous to eat them. African Guinea, Mediterranean Basin, Southeast Asia, South Asia. Yeah, I guess it's actually not all that crazy to eat snails, huh? Anyway, escargot, there you go. On that note, I'm going to round this episode off here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewells. Until next time, bye-bye for now.